What do you get when you mix a podcast, your favorite celebrities, and the chance to make a difference? You get Hearts of Stars. Hi, I'm Jen Silliman, and this isn't just any podcast. It's where heartwarming stories meet action-packed change. Every episode, I chat with stars about the passions closest to their hearts, but here's the twist. Each episode launches Days of Impact, where we rally together to support their chosen cause. Subscribe now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and be part of the movement where a podcast becomes so much more. It's fun, it's meaningful, and it's the perfect mix of entertainment and action.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am good, thank you.
It's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you. I feel like it's been forever.
It kind of has been forever.
Has been. I know.
Like,
oh my God.
Yeah. I also feel like time is just like flying by. I'm just like, I can't even keep up. I'm like, how is it already the end of the day? What the heck?
Well, how is it the end of March? And it'll be Christmas soon.
Exactly. Yeah, like, should I be putting up my Christmas decorations? Like, what should I do?
So crazy. It's crazy. Thanks for doing this.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're so busy with all your stuff.
Yeah, it's been good. It's, promoting the show and everything is very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your YouTube channel and your newsletter that you have that goes out. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going on.
Yes, so many things. Why would I do that to myself?
Why would you do that to yourself? Why? But you're still, and where do you shoot When Hope Calls? In Canada?
So it's just outside of North Bay in a tiny town called Powassan in Ontario. Sorry,
Yeah.
in Ontario. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like 3.5 hours from Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you have a house up there?
No, I don't have a house up there.
No.
But
okay.
if the show keeps getting picked up, maybe I'll end up having a house out there.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it does.
I know. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. I love it. Awesome. All right. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, but we'll mainly focus on Pasadena Humane, which, by the way, is incredible. I dug into them a lot and didn't realize that the beginning of them started in 1903.
Wow, I did not know that. That's crazy.
Right?
I mean, Pasadena is it's been around a long time. There's so much history here.
Yeah. I was like, is that a typo?
You're like, I'm sorry, what?
Are they sure about that?
That's like 100 years old.
But we'll talk about that a little bit just because it's super awesome. Well, welcome back to Hearts of Stars. You have been on every version of this show, which I'm just so grateful for. I mean, literally, you've been on my husband's like, who's on your podcast tonight? I'm like, oh, Cindy Busby. She goes, she always has your back, doesn't she? And I go, she does. She really does.
I love it.
So thank you for coming on again and sharing about this other charity that you love. So we'll talk about that in a bit, but let's start with your show, When Hope Calls, season 2. This is exciting for me because I'm also a very huge Christopher Russell fan.
Yes.
So to see the two of you together brings me joy, and I know it brings tons of fans joy as well. So tell me about it. How does it feel to be doing this?
It feels so great. I had wanted to be on a series for the last several years. Because the last series I was on was Date My Dad. And that unfortunately didn't go past one season. And it was just one of the best experiences. And then when this project came around, When Hope Calls, which actually is quite interesting because the first time they did the casting for it, 5 years ago, I had initially auditioned for one of the characters initially, and it came very close, didn't work out, all good. And then this came around again, and obviously a different character. And it was just so interesting. And I had no idea Chris Russell was also auditioning and doing his whole thing. And working on a period piece is also another thing that I've wanted to do for a really long time. I've done, some stuff here and there, but nothing consistent. And so, all the pieces kind of fell into place. And then actually, Chris Russell found out that I was going to be that I was in talks of being a part of it. And he like kind of sent me these like cryptic texts. He's like, wouldn't it be cool? Like, I just love working together. We should work together. And I was like, yeah, for sure. I'd love that. And he's like, no, like we should work together soon. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, like really soon. And I was like, no, no way. And I like just kind of freaked out. And I was like, okay, but like it's not 100% sure yet. And he's like, yeah, me neither. I was like, okay, well, like let me know when you find out. And then same for me. And then we let each other know and obviously it worked out. And but yeah, it's been just such a wonderful experience, like through and through, like from beginning to end, the entire cast. There's a lot of so many returning cast from the first season and the movies. And then, of course, there's kind of a changing of the guard of the leads. That being said, they've done a really, really beautiful job at like making a seamless transition where it doesn't feel so like abrupt and people are gonna be like, what the heck happened to like when hope calls that we knew. So Alfonso Marino, who's the creator and like the showrunner, he did such a beautiful job of like integrating, and there is a time cut like period,
Right.
so in between the two. So yeah, it's been so great, and getting to play Nora Anderson, who, she's a lawyer, a woman from the big city, goes, and especially in that time period too, like 1920 is like pretty epic. And, she's strong and she's smart and like funny, or at least I made her a little bit funny. And she has so much heart, and she's not married, like that kind of. So like again, all of these things I found really fascinating about her as a woman in, again, that time period, and someone who has lost most of her family and finds out that she has family she didn't know she had. So it means so she drops kind of everything to go try to meet this family, hoping that they'll accept her. And then she ends up just finding so much more in Brookfield, which is such a filled place. And it's a series that, like, similar to When Calls the Heart and stuff, that families can sit down and watch with their entire family. And, there's a lot of like similarities to When Calls the Heart, but there's a huge difference in this show as well. The characters are so fun and funny and heartwarming and talented. And yeah, anyway, I can't speak enough about it. The crew was like beyond. Yeah, I was kind of sad when it was over because you're like, please, like give us another season. It's like you never have
Yeah.
enough time. And
Right.
it's nice because it's truly like, yes, Chris and I are the leads of the show, but it's an ensemble cast, which
Yeah.
is really cool.
Yeah. I love that. So when he was sending you like those cryptic messages, like how long did it take you to like figure and not just that he's on the show too, but like you're the leads of the show. I mean, this is like you're the
Yeah.
leads of the show. Like you're going to have every scene together, right? So when were you just like, "Oh my gosh, I can't." You had no idea?
I genuinely had no idea because I can't remember. So when he texted me, we hadn't talked in a couple months. Like once in a blue moon, we'll check in on each other, or chat about, work or Christmas con or whatever, and he had just messaged me out of the blue. So it just felt like out of the blue, and then I remember when I wrote back, he wrote something and then I wrote back, can't remember what it was, and he didn't write back to me for like an hour. So it was like a stretched out like thing that I was like, wait, don't leave me hanging, dude. Like, what is this? But also, like, and what's cool as well is because it's an ensemble cast, like, I have scenes with, my character's main areas, like the orphanage. His is like the Mountie office, and then everything in between. So we have, a lot of scenes with other people. And of course, there's like that slow burn of two characters coming together and very slowly falling for each other.
Right.
We want the show to keep going, of course.
Right. You can't have everything happen right away. We have to
That's right.
stretch it
That's
out.
right.
I read
Exactly.
in an interview, that you do like to do period pieces, but that you had to learn how to ride in a carriage, like and like learn your lines and do it. What was that like? I feel like that. I mean, you've ridden horses before, so like, what was that like?
Yeah, it's kind of like it's so I had to learn how to drive this, like, massive wooden wagon with this huge horse that weighs a ton, like, he's got, like, this big booty and, like, he's just, like, while I'm behind him, like, telling what to do, and his name was Zach, he was a sweetheart, and, yeah, and I so it seemingly would be like, you'd think it was easy, but it's not that easy, but then once I got the hang of it, I actually again, I think having the history with horses and understanding animals in general, like, that was very helpful, but yeah, it's kind of like walking, talking, chewing gum, like, you're just, like, doing all the things, but you're not thinking about it.
Right.
So, like, for those scenes where I had to, you know, hit the mark and tell the horse what to do, and I'm chatting with Chris on the wagon or the kids in the back, and it's one of those things where you have to know your lines really well for those scenes because you don't even have time to think about what you're about to say. You're just like listening, doing this, saying the thing. Like it just feels like you're doing so much at once.
Yeah.
It's like multitasking to at its finest.
Yeah, really. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Well, it's
Yeah. But it was kind of,
interesting. Go ahead, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say it was just fun. Like it's an enjoyable challenge.
Yeah. All right, so we're talking animals and we're talking like early 90s, which I think is just like a great segue into what we want to talk about. Right? I mean, Pasadena Humane Society was around during this time period, which is like so crazy, right? So, we're going to talk about Pasadena Humane. And if anyone has seen Cindy on all the other versions of Hearts of Stars, you know that her beloved pup Suze came from a rescue. And so, we're going to talk about Pasadena Humane, which in 1903, this is so interesting to me because I'm a history buff. I love it. It was the Pasadena Humane Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children and Dumb Animals, which dumb meaning they don't speak the language. So that's the terminology that they used back then. So eventually, obviously, those types of animals became companion animals, which we would know as like having a dog or a cat, at home. And then once it didn't really have like working horses anymore. It kind of retired into like modern machinery. They then just kind of focused on rescuing animals and whatnot. So even their property that was from 1914, like that's the same property. I want to go there because I want to see this building. It's incredible. So let's talk about why you chose Pasadena Humane for us to highlight. I know they were doing a lot with the LA fires and so talk to me a little bit about what drew you to them.
So I recently moved to Pasadena and was personally affected by the fires. Our home is like actually 3 blocks away from like the burn zone and beyond. We're very fortunate and lucky to have not lost our home. However, obviously many people did and we've all heard about it. So I they became I became aware of them through the fires and everything that they were doing for the animals during that time. So I was just like fascinated with what they were doing for the animals and rescuing them and reacquainting families with their animals and they still are, which is like quite sad and rescuing animals in general is like a massive passion of mine. It's my heart. It's what I really believe in. And I didn't know about rescuing animals and what it really meant and how important it was until like really only like maybe 7 years ago, because where I grew up, it just wasn't a thing. And I grew up like buying animals and doing that whole thing. And so the more you know, the more you know, and the more you want to share the word, because had I known, I would have hopefully made different choices or whatever. So yeah, so that all kind of came together. So like between being personally affected by the fires, seeing what Pasadena Humane did during that time and is still doing, and then also my love for animals and rescue animals, just like it just is the perfect match while also, still of course donating and spreading the word for other rescues as well, like Mayday Rescue, which is also where I got Sue's. So that's kind of how it all came to be. It's all pretty recent for me. However, something that I'm, really grateful for and passionate about.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you were kind of before we started actually getting into the conversation, you were talking about just how crazy your world was during that time with moving and then the fires and the holidays and like all these things.
Yeah.
And that's just absolutely. So you did you have to evacuate? I can't remember if
Yes.
you did. Okay.
Yeah, so, I I literally I evacuated on January 7th. It was the Eaton fire, is the one that was closest to us, and, we basically they had preemptively, like, turned the electricity off, and then we were just kind of, like, playing games in the living room via candlelight, and it was, like, 6:30 PM or something, and suddenly we heard our neighbor next door kind of, like yelling out something, and she's like the sweetest lady, and we talk to her all the time. And so Chris went outside and saw her, and she immediately like was pointing out at something, and then I was like, what's going on? And then we went outside, and then she was pointing at the mountain that was like engulfed. It's like one of those moments that like you just don't forget. And I would say it was quite traumatizing, like, it was immediately, like, seeing that and then being like, "What is that?" And then realizing, like and then being like, "We're gonna have to get out," like, that it was, like, that close. Like, it was so close, like, I still get goosebumps thinking about it because it was so close and real and huge. I'd never seen anything like that before, that close, that wasn't on TV, you know? And so, yeah, the first thing I immediately thought of was, like, we gotta grab, like, what we can, and then I think, like, maybe 5 minutes later, we got the notice on our phone being like, "Get ready to probably evacuate," and then I think it was, like, maybe 25 minutes later where it was like, "Get out now." Like, that's how intense it was, and then we didn't get back into our home. Thankfully, we had our home, like, 2 weeks later because there was, like, no power or anything like that, and then, of course, there's the whole cleaning thing and everything, but yeah, so that was our experience.
I am so happy that your house is fine.
Yes, thank
You know,
you.
and that there are organizations like this, and there are other shelters also in the LA County
So
area and
many.
whatnot that are doing all sorts of things. But I do encourage everyone to check out Pasadena Humane because again, they've been around forever and it is a very historic organization and they do all kinds of things. But the stories that they have on their website of reuniting animals with their owners. I know there's a couple different bills that are trying that people are trying to get passed for like local legislation about animal rescues during natural disasters and laws
Really?
around those so that they can let owners back in to their homes so they can try and find their animal, and that sort of thing.
Totally. Yeah, there's in those areas, there's a lot of, like, posters and things that people have put up being like, "If have you seen my animal?" But, yeah, on their website, they still have many, many animals that have still not been reunited, and anyway, it's such a deeper conversation, but yeah, it's what they're doing is really beautiful, and a lot of that has to do with the incredible donations they receive from wonderful people that are capable of doing that. And like always people say, it's never too small, sort of thing, where it's like whatever you can do,
Whatever you
whether
can
that's
do.
like donating food or blankets or beds or animals with toys. Like, so many animals, like, they just want to have like a little teddy bear. Like, I remember when I used to volunteer at Best Friends animal shelter, like, there's this one dog I used to walk, and the dog would walk like around the block with the teddy bear in its mouth. It would never leave it behind. It was like the cutest thing I'd ever seen. And like, it's just those little things that matter so much. And what's beautiful as well is because of everything that's happened, they've been so inundated, Pasadena Humane, with volunteers and people wanting to help, and with their time, their efforts. So that's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, for sure. Is Sue still sitting with you ish?
Well, she's not sitting, she's laying down.
She's fallen asleep. Hi, Suze. Hi.
Everybody loves you. She went to the vet today, so she's tired. It's a stressful experience
That
doing
is a
there, you know?
yeah, that is a stressful experience.
But she's good. It was just kind of a little checkup thing, so
Good. Good
yeah.
to hear. So let's talk
Yeah.
about some of your other projects. So I am on your newsletter, so I get your newsletter that comes out, and I am subscribed to your YouTube channel. So we're going to put all that information in the description too. But how did that come about? Because I feel like Cindy Busby is becoming a brand. Like we are touching all like sorts of different things, and I'm loving it. I love all of it. There's so many different types of videos on your YouTube channel. From you just made bruschetta recently, behind the scenes at some of the award shows, on the set of this, and getting ready for this. I mean, you're kind of like giving everyone this like little inside look into the world of Cindy Busby. So what prompted?
Well, I guess I've always struggled with the idea that I am a brand. However, I am because I'm not like I'm Cindy Busby and I'm an actor and but I'm also like I love to do all kinds of other things and I recognize that people have a certain investment in certain things that I'm doing or things that I might want to share and part of my brain also feels like, well, who would be interested in that? Like who cares, you know? But I also realize that like some people do care and they really love it and they really enjoy it. And I was like, how can I share those things the way I want to share them and the way it's like more of a like a controlled sharings and Instagram I share once in a while, you know, on my personal life, but it I try not to be on my phone 24/7 sort of thing. So I feel like YouTube is a perfect opportunity to be able to share that. Um for those that are interested and it's just kind of taken off and now I'm doing this and I like it. Like it's fun. It's fun to hear what people have to say and it's fun to see people that are excited about it and I've actually had my YouTube page for gosh, I don't even know, like probably like 10 years. I just never posted anything so people didn't know that it was even a thing.
Right.
So that's kind of how it started. The newsletter started happening because I wanted to be able to share some of my favorite things, writings, or just like letting people know, you know, what's going on. And also, I feel like the one social media that I've used the most is Instagram. However, Instagram is volatile and it's not my site. So I was like, how can I, if Instagram were to like implode
Right.
one day or YouTube were to disappear or whatever, how could I stay in touch with people and have a way to communicate with them? And so that's kind of where the newsletter stemmed from of being able to touch base with people if all else failed, sort
It
of
all
thing.
goes away. Yeah, you need their email address. I mean, think about it. I mean, if you don't have it, you really have no other way to connect with them,
Truly.
right?
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
I yeah, that's crazy. What's gonna come up on your so you I because I do love the variety of the videos that are on there. So can you give us like a little hint of what you have brewing? Like what other things are we gonna be able to watch you do?
Yeah, so things that you've been able to see so far are like some cooking, little cooking videos, which I'm a huge, like, I love cooking. It's one of my favorite things. And what I specifically like to share on my page is more like easy things that are more like health conscious, because that is how I like to primarily eat. So being able to share that is fun and showing people that it can be really easy to do like healthy things without it requiring too much effort, you know? So, you know, it's not like, hey, everyone, let's make a Thanksgiving dinner. Like, we're not doing a whole feast. It's just like small little recipes. But anyway, so there's that. There's some behind the scenes. So I have a couple of videos coming out of some behind the scenes from When Hope Was, which will be coming out that I've been holding on to ever since I shot the show. So I'm excited to share those. And then I have a couple other videos as well of, you know, like traveling. Of course, like the more I travel, the more I like to share that. And then, you know, there's a couple other themes that I'm working on. Like I had for a while on my Instagram subscribers, I was sharing what I called Monday's words of wisdom. And so just not that I'm like a wise person, although I feel
Yes,
like
you are. You're so
I
funny.
I I don't know, but anyway, so I just like sharing things that
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that are meaningful to me and that can help someone if they're also thinking about those things or haven't thought about that. And sometimes that can lead to a better understanding of ourselves or whatnot. So that's something that I've been deciding whether to bring back, but not necessarily every Monday, but kind of like, a video here and there. And then another thing as well is to be able to share more about things like my acting, so like acting tips and things like that. So that's something that I'm working toward as well, of like, because so many people don't really, either if you're interested in being an actor or people who don't understand, like, what is it to be an actor? Like, what does that really mean? What does that look like? What are things that you do on a day to day to like be an actor? And like, and obviously that has changed immensely throughout my career because times they are changing.
Yeah.
Like, long gone are the days where I used to do an audition and they would like film it on a VHS tape and then like send it to the director for them to watch. Like, it's so crazy to think about that. So those are kind of the videos that are brewing, and but yeah, just kind of exploring. It's really like an exploration. Like, I don't have it all figured out. But and like doing lives where people can ask me questions and that kind of thing. Those are fun.
Yeah. Awesome. I love
Yeah.
it. I think you need to
Thank
keep
you.
doing it. You're so cute how you're like, I am not someone who, and I think we all do that where we're like, oh, who's going to listen to me? Like, who am I to, have any Monday motivation to tell anybody? But people do. I mean, you have a pretty good following on YouTube. I mean, you have a good amount of subscribers. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's been there. And I barely, that's the thing. Like, so about a year and a half, what prompted a lot of this, like, kind of like spider web of like Cindy Busby things floating around, is I started working with so I just want to say I don't do this all by myself. I started working with this incredible woman. Her name is Sandra, and she has helped me so much in like content and editing and ideas and things like that, where but I also, like, I'm so hands on that it's like so hard for me to like let go of these things. But I want it to be authentic. I want it to be me. I want people, when they read my newsletter, it's I wrote it. Like, it's in my words. And so that's the thing I'm still juggling with, is like, how do you do everything in a timely manner and like also take care of yourself and like not be tired all the time. I mean, that's the story of every human, I think.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Well, and then Sandra will learn you. And that's the thing. That's a great thing about working with somebody, especially on content like this, is they start to learn you. And
Yeah,
then they kind of know, what you would say and how you would say it, and to make
totally.
sure that it sounds authentic coming from you. And so far, I've loved all your newsletters. They definitely, when I read them, I hear your voice. So it's definitely like it's you. Like, it's not like, like a chat
Good.
GPT, like spitting something
Oh,
out. Like, it's definitely Cindy's words. Like, you just, all of it. Like, you can tell.
couldn't
So
I couldn't I let me tell you, if I'm doing chat GPT, I want you to know that it's no longer me. I have been taken over by an alien, and that's not me.
no, that's not Cindy, but we're gonna put links to all your stuff so people can subscribe to that, and so you can get their email and make sure that you can stay connected with them if the social media world implodes, because you just never know what's gonna happen. So it's
You know?
good to have people's email address.
That's right.
Right? I feel like I need to start. I don't have one for Hearts of Stars. Maybe I shall start collecting
Yes,
email addresses or
that's right.
something. I don't
Yeah,
know. I never really thought about it because you think, oh, who's checking their email? But I guess I do all day. I mean, it's on my phone.
it's
You're checking it.
still very, very, very popular. And
Yeah.
I know, I same like what you just said. I'm reading my emails all the time, and that's how I find out, that there's this sale for this thing that I love, and I'm like, dang it, they got me again or
Right.
whatever.
And you get those emails that are specific because you're searching on their website of what you want. Because I've been looking for like a outdoor like patio bed thing so I can sit outside. And now all of a sudden Wayfair's having all these sales now on patio beds, and I keep getting emails, find your
Convenient.
patio bed. I'm like, "Oh, gosh," and then I click on it and I'm like, it's not on sale that much. Oh, that's funny. Any other projects? You've kind of floated between Great American Family, Hallmark Channel. Anything coming up on like different new on either of those networks?
No, I mean, right now it's primarily the show and seeing if we get picked up for another season, which, obviously I would absolutely love. And then in the meantime, I've just been really working on like the things we just talked about, the YouTube, the newsletter, etc. And then also the idea of producing on the side. There's a couple of projects that I'm trying to get made and created and sold. And so that's kind of a very anyone who's ever done that knows it's not the easiest journey and it's a lot of patience and a lot of work, but it's exciting because it's the potential of it launching me into another capacity is really exciting. And whether that's producing, directing, that is very exciting for me. Of course, acting will always be my primary. However, if I can bring those worlds together, I would love that. So we'll see what happens. But for now, that's my focus.
Do you have a dream project? Like, do you have like a genre that you would like love to produce?
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to produce a lot of different things, but I really love when I could bring two types of worlds together. So comedy is something that I absolutely adore and I bring to everything I do because I just think that we all relate to that. And like we all want to feel levity in everything and that's kind of how we cope with more difficult topics, right? A lot
Right.
of us is like, well, at least for me, I'm
Humor.
like,
Yeah.
how can I diffuse this like
Right. Right.
craziness? Um and so like something that would be very like kind of like funny, dark humor and then maybe like a mystery drama side to it.
Okay.
That's quite exciting for me. So yeah, probably something along
Along
those
those
lines. But
lines.
yeah, I'm open to just about anything. I would love to really to do like a really cool indie as well, like an independent movie that like just really like anything that can be very like thought provoking, feeling inspired, like something that like when people walk away from it, they feel good about themselves, they feel hopeful about the world, they can ask themselves some questions. How did I feel about that? What was that like? Like those are the kinds of projects that I want to be a part of. There's a side of me as an actor that's cool to like do something like really dark and like. But then there's a part of me that I'm like, "Ugh, there's so much of that already in the world that I'm just like, I can't like take another one of those things. Like, I don't think anyone can handle one more of those
Yeah.
things. So
Yeah.
like, let's
Right.
not.
So true. What are you so I know you don't like to be on your phone all the time, but what are we watching? Like do you have all the streaming networks that like everyone has, and are you like binge watching like things that like everyone seems to be watching right now? What are you watching?
I gotta say, yes, I do have all the streamers. Because my husband is like all about it. I will say this. When he's not around, the television is basically never turned on. Like I don't really watch a lot of TV. I just don't. And I know that's probably super weird to hear that from an actor. Um but I'm kind of like like an old movies, TV show kind of gal. Like I just really love those. That being said, I really love the show Nobody Wants This with Kristen Bell and I just wanted to call him Seth Cohen.
Yeah.
Right.
I know. I'm lost on his name right now too, which is so crazy. Yes. Is that it? Yeah, I
I
think that's it.
Like, to me, that show was a show I would love to be in. Like, that show was like and I just felt like I could feel them really
Oh my
loving each
gosh.
other. Like, that was the part and he was so charming, and I was just like, "This is like a dream." So
So
that show I, like, was so into. I really love, the song, what am I saying? The show Based on a True Story, which is another that one is with Kaylee Cuoco and, That one is kind of the same. It's like a dark, like
Okay.
comedy mystery.
Okay. What's
That
that
was a
on?
really good.
Why don't I have not heard of that, and I feel like, oh, okay, maybe that's why. Okay, I'll have to check that out.
I can't remember because again, I don't even touch the remote.
Yeah, no,
Chris turns it on and then I just sit there.
right,
Like, I literally we have, like, the frame TV and, like, I'm
right.
always like, what am I doing? What like, how do I turn this on? I can't even get my TV work. That's probably why I don't even turn it on.
Probably why you don't watch it. You don't know how to
Like,
turn it on.
Yeah, that's
My
right.
gosh. Do you watch your own stuff? Like, will you watch your
Yes.
season? You will. Okay.
Yeah, I will. I always watch my projects at the very least once. I'm not like, "Hey, guys, it's Saturday at Cindy's. We're watching one of my movies again." Chris, up until recently, and even still, he'd never watched an episode of Heartland before. Like, he didn't, and I've done, like,
Oh,
over 50 episodes of that
right.
show, and it's been, the gift that keeps on giving for me and my career. He'd never seen an episode because I'm not like, "Come on, we're gonna watch me in Heartland.
Right.
Let's go." But then when I came back to the show, I wanted to remember what the last few episodes I'd done were like, so then he watched, like, some of it with me. Um, but yeah, I will definitely watch When Hope Calls, also because so I like watching them not just to see, like, how I did as an actor, but I'd love to see, like, what were the choices the director chose and the editor and the producers, and, like, how were my co-stars, like, how was their work that I wasn't a part of? How did that
Right.
turn out? Especially on When Hope Calls, because it's such an ensemble cast. Like, there's a lot of people that I never really got to work with super closely, who I know, like, when I read the script, had, like, great scenes. So I'm, like, really excited to watch that.
Watch those.
And
Yeah.
of course, to support my show.
Right.
We're just like one viewer at a time, right? Yeah.
When will you know if it's picked up again? Like, what's the timeline on that look like?
I honestly don't know, but I mean, there is like a crunch time like that we have to know, because the hope would probably be to start shooting like at some point in the summer, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of work that needs to happen before that. So hopefully by the end of the season, which, will be very exciting. So fingers crossed for that. But yeah, sooner rather than later would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be good to know.
That
Right.
would be
This
nice.
one
That
then this
would be nice.
season is 8 episodes, right? 8 episodes?
It's actually 6
6
episodes.
episodes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's 6. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's got a huge following. I mean, people are going crazy online for it. So
I
I'm
mean,
very hopeful
yeah.
that it will.
Hashtag hopefuls.
For sure. That's
There's the
funny.
Hardys and there's the
That's
hopefuls.
right. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, it's been, and I understand, like, it's one of those things. Those who loved the show initially and the movies, they've waited for so long, and some of them, like, thought it would never happen, and suddenly it's happening. It's like, "Oh my gosh, like, finally this is happening." And yeah, so it's certainly obviously going to be a little bit different because there's new people there, but like I said, it's a beautiful transition, which is nice.
People are really like going nuts about it online. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that because I kinda try to stay away from it,
I know.
because sometimes then you read, like, one
I
bad
know.
comment and then it sends you down a spiral.
I know that
I've
rabbit
I've
hole
made
of
that mistake
yeah.
one too many times.
Yeah, no, but it's been good. The fans are excited, and shows like this really do have that strong sort of
Yes,
fan base
you
where
do.
they're doing their own lives and watching the show with other people, that it's like a whole community. So,
Yeah.
I have a good feeling that it will continue. So I mean,
I mean, I do too, but, crazier things
right.
have happened, so I stay positive about it, but, I'm not gonna lie and be like, I'm not gonna need a couple days to process, like, any bad news, but, like, and have a good cry, but,
Yeah.
I've been there, done that, so it's
Yeah.
fine, but I'm very, very excited for it to come about, so. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming back on to this version of Hearts of Stars in
But I
2025.
can't wait to see the next version.
Who knows what it's going to be? I have no idea. I think it'll just be this version for quite some time.